Greetings, I'm Barrett and welcome to Meet Me at the Table. Today is the day we are diving into Dungeon Universalis. This is going to be an immense campaign that is going to span pretty much, this actually takes place over years of game time, which is really cool. And that actually does matter out on the map that you see behind you. This is an incredible experience. It's a huge campaign game, and this is just one of the many campaigns that this game holds. In this book, you could play 4 different ones, there's a few mini campaigns or the main huge campaign that is part of this particular campaign book. We are going to do that main campaign. I'm actually going to be starting on the second mission. I played through the first mission. It was very much of a tutorial type mission, and I want to show all the aspects of this game. So we're going to start right after we were able to complete the first mission, giving us a chance to see how the overworld map works. Also, you're going to be able to see how an entire dungeon type delve goes in Dungeon Universalis. This is an immense game that is going to be able to cover lifespans of characters, lifespans of you. This is like almost like a game that you could play forever. You want to do. There is so much going on in here. Not only that, this game is a great bridge between board games and role-playing games. This game has so many rules and so many mechanics in it that the designers even said that, as you play through it, you don't need to use everything that's in front of you. This is a toolbox of a game that encourages people to expand and experience the game the way they wish it to be played. Now, of course, I'm going to do my best to make sure we go by the entire rule book. Of course, there are so many rules that I might make a few mistakes, so make sure to take a look at the comment section at the end of this video, and you might see some pinned comments of some of the errors I may have made. Now, of course, some of them might be plus and minus a few things here and there, and it's not the end of the world, but any major mistakes you're going to see in the comment section on a pinned comment. This is a huge undertaking. I'm super excited to do this, and we're going to dive into Dungeon Universalis. And if you're excited to join me, then I need you to meet me at the table. If you notice in the book, the first mission is free the merchants right here, M1. I've completed that mission, but I still want to kind of finish it up and tell you a little bit of what happened so that you're ready to know and go into Rogue's Lair. Before we dive too heavily into the story, I do want to introduce our characters. The first character we have here is going to be Islamar. He is our elven paladin. This is the value points. When determining how many points the enemy gets, these are going to be added up across all of your characters and all of your items. I'll show you how that works. These are going to be all the different stats we're able to use. The first one is going to, of course, be our movement. Then we've got our combat skill. We've got our strength, our shooting skill. The next one is our natural armor. On top of that, we have over here, we have agility, intelligence. Then we have our mana pool, but of course he doesn't have any because he's not a magic user. The next one we have is courage, vitality. This is the amount of experience points you have. This right here, this is going to be, this is your dexterity required for manual actions such as disarming traps or unlocking doors. It's going to be a lot better on a rogue than it's going to be on a paladin for sure. That's just the deal. And then this one over here is going to be your perception in order to see or deal with. You're going to be rolling this one. It has to do with certain things in the game. Of course, one of them is having to perceive enemies, which is the main one you use it for. On top of that, we have the coins, the amount that the hero has in coins, and the amount that the person can carry in weight, which is there as well. So that's our character. He's all ready to go. Now, like I said, we did finish the first quest. So we actually have a couple experience points. You can't really use it until you get to 3 experience points. And you're supposed to actually write these down on neat little sheets that you have for all of your characters, and then that would go right in here in the middle. But I haven't really wrote anything down yet because we just did the first mission, and we're just going to keep it as is. That way everything is right there, and I can just keep picking up this card and showing it to you. If any of these values change, though, I'll make sure that you know about it. On top of that, each of these characters are going to get things based on their race and their class. And of course, there is some starting equipment as well. He's going to be starting, these right here I forgot to talk about. These are favor points. They're located right up there. Or, sorry, fortune points. These represent the luck that the character has during the quest, and I'm going to be using these to hopefully prevent any bad things from happening to us. We can manipulate rolls. We can also, if we're about to die, we can use these to kind of prevent ourselves from going KO'd and being knocked out of the game. Now, it does also show right here all the starting gear, so I've put that out here that we haven't gained anything new. We just have the starting gear we have. We have chainmail, shield, a scimitar, and another sword. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. You can look and try to pronounce it yourself. Falcata? Ha, I tried, and I did, I think, pretty good job. This shows how many hands they are. This is the amount of extra combats, or this is, sorry, the combat skill. I get -1 to the user's combat skill while defending, -1 to the target's armor in case of a critical hit. And this is going to show you how much extra I get to roll when determining damage to an item. Now, of course, we have a scimitar here, which gets +2, but it says -2 damage dice against targets using heavy armor or shields. So it's not good against that. It's good against very or cloth armor or leather armor or something of that nature. So that'd be the sword to use. And I can choose which one I want to as I go. If we look at our elf card up here, this is going to show us. Now, if you're creating characters, you're going to use this as a template and be able to add and subtract numbers based on how many points you get to create a character. You can actually create characters in the game, which is really cool. I'm just using the base characters that this game comes with. So if we look here, it says it's outstanding agility and speed, skillful with both melee and ranged weapons, great potential as spellcasters. Well, we're not doing any of that, but it says right here, they begin with the skill sharp senses. So because I am an elf, I get sharp senses, which the character is going to get +1 to perception. So instead of this being a 0, I do have +1. Since I am a paladin, I do have to take the paladin card and kind of gain all the benefits from this as well. So the yellow ones are good, and the red ones are more detrimental. So every class has these. And I get to begin with a skill champions of the gods of good or the champions of gods of evil. We have chosen good just because it's going to be easier in the beginnings of this game, because if you go into a town and you're actually evil, it's harder to actually take advantage of the abilities in the town. So alignment does play a factor in this game. The first increase to my combat skill requires 1 less point than usual, but I do have -1 to those kind of tests. And of course, there's all these different rolls that I'm going to have to make and all these different icons I have to remember. And that particular test is a dexterity test. He already has -1, which is terrible. So he's got -2 because he's a paladin. Or it might already be added in. I didn't. If they're not added in, I actually just... this is what I considered the base character for this. If the -1 is already there because of that, I'm giving him a -2, and I could be wrong about that. Again, you might notice that in a pinned comment if I am wrong about that, but that's how I've been playing this. He does get his healing herbs, which are down here, which I can use to... I have to use as a one-time use, and I can recover D3 wounds, which is going to be good, but I don't really need them yet. Now, like I said, I do get a power called Champions of Good, Gods of Good. If the character is of benign or neutral alignment, he may learn a spell from the light lore, healing light, sheltering light, holy light, or form of the blessing. I could get Scourge of Evil. He may cast this spell only once per game. He doesn't require any mana to do it, and in order to do so, he must pass a courage roll. Spells cast in this way can't be dispelled, and he may learn new spells among those above if they were new skills. So as I play through, I can gain more of these, and I have Sheltering Light, which is right here. You're going to see many different things on here. This is what is called a persistent spell. It costs 1 mana, but of course, like I said, I don't need to use the mana to cast it. It does cost 10 to buy this spell to learn it. On top of that, it's cast on myself, that's the range, but it has an aura radius of 3, that's the deal. And what it's going to be able to do is enemies are going to get -1 to casting spells and shooting when the target casters or friendly characters within the spell's AoE. All characters protected by the spell take 1 less damage die from any enemy attack. And the caster also becomes a source of light, which does play a factor in the dungeon. So that's our first character. I know there's a lot to go through. The other ones, hopefully we can go a little bit faster. I just wanted to make sure you understood what is going to be involved in these characters. Like I said, there is a lot going on, and it's super cool that they've included all of these different aspects. We do have a spellcaster in a group. This is the sorceress. The sorceress and the wizard actually got the most votes from my Patreon. All the characters we're playing here were voted on by my Patreons. If you're interested in manipulating and choosing who we get to use in a game and how we level up our characters, please feel free to join my Patreon. The link is in the description of this video. This is going to be a human sorceress. She again starts with 10 value points, and these are all the different stats. I'm not going to go through every one of them. You can see them on screen as is. She does have all of these abilities here, and all these items, which I have down here. We'll go through some of those, and I get a ability because she is a sorceress. Down here, though, it says use background cards. So some of the characters that we've been using in this game do actually have a background that is it influences kind of how the character is. It has a whole story about the person here, and then it tells a little bit more, and they get an extra little trait. And she's friendly to witches. So I can roll a d6 whenever a travel event which includes witches is drawn, and on a result of 3 or more, I can just discard it and not have to worry about it. I also have a ritual staff. When I use the staff, she gets +1 to dispelling against lures of witchcraft and necromancy. So she does have a little bit of extra bonus. It's not anything groundbreaking or game breaking, but it does give a little bit of flavor to each of the characters that you bring along. She does start with the staff, and this is all the stuff that she has in her backpack, which is out of control. Most of these are going to be used to help cast spells. So we have like a magic scroll, only for spellcasters with mana pool, 2+ to casting or dispelling spells. We have components for magic, again, +2 to casting spells. We have healing herbs, which is going to be able to heal her just like the elf had. Then we have a mana potion. Use recoveries up to 4 mana points from you, and you can also remove 1 mana token from 2 cards of spells already cast. Battle wizards can recover 2 points. I'll explain that in just a second. And then we have Greek fire. It's thrown. It can't be recovered after use. And it says target and adjacent squares suffer 3 fire damage dice. So that might be pretty good. There's also some more text. We'll read it if we actually go ahead and use it. Well, the mana potion, like it was saying, is I get to remove mana from spell cards. Whenever you cast spells in this game, you're going to use whatever mana it tells you, and then you're going to place the token on there. Some may cost 2, which means they're more powerful spells, but also might have more backlash or bad things happening to you. But when you cast them, you have to put the thing on there, and you're only able to cast the spell a certain number of times per adventure. Of course, using the mana potion means you can take those off, and we're able to use those spells some more. And these are going to be refilled through the adventure or at the end of the adventure, as you can see at the end here. You can also go back to town and recover a lot of stuff. Like you notice we still have some damage on us, and I might have used some of these. I can't remember. I kind of maneuvered the token, so I just gave myself back all the mana. We're going to go back to town before we go on to the next adventure anyway, so we're going to gain back most of our stuff, depending on some of the rolls we make. So it doesn't matter too much of how many of those I already used. I'm going to get them all back. She does have 4 different skills. One of them she's going to get because it's sorcerer card. I'm going to get herbalist, and I also begin 8 points with and 4 random spells from one of the following lores: witchcraft or tribal magic. I chose tribal magic for this one, and when the character gets to know all the spells and chosen to start, they can learn other ones from other places. I get -1 to dispelling, -1 to my combat, because of course she's a sorcerer. She's not going to be up there fighting. And any increase to might, health, or accuracy requires 1 or more points than usual, because that's obviously not anything she's really good at, and can only be armed with daggers, staffs, or magical swords, and I can't wear any armor or shields, which isn't the end of the world. Now, I am a human. The human is going to get lost in the dark. Trust me, that's not a skill you want, but, well, that's just how it goes. I could learn lycanthropy if I want to. I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to make a werewolf in here. And I also get to choose 1 more skill of the player's choice depending on the class chosen. So we have 1 more skill in here. We'll see how that works. And I think I picked the right one. I had to go by class. I think I got what I was supposed to do right. But of course, like I said, there's so much going on I may have missed done. This is the one I chose as our extra one. Characters may reroll failed intelligence rolls when casting spells, except in the case of critical failures. The skill may only be used once per game, so I do have that going for me. And the skill has to be, I think the class has to match down here, and I believe I have the right class. Again, could be wrong. There's a lot going on. All right, herbalist. The character is an expert in herbs and knows how to create potions and ointments. Characters start each quest with a potion of his or her choice at no cost, which is pretty sweet. Then we also have powerful mind. It requires an intelligence value equal to or greater than 4. It may learn faster from other spellcasters. The price of learning a spell will be reduced by 5 coins and will take only 2 experience points he also gets +2 to solving riddles. That's another one I have, or is that the one I grabbed instead of the... I knew I was thinking about switching one out after trying them out. Lost in the Dark, this is one you don't want. -1 to all attributes except armor, health, and mana while in sections under the effect of darkness or complete darkness. Barf. Then I get -1 to shooting at enemies in the dark. That's no good either. So I do have Experienced Wizard, and I have, yeah, this is the one I choose. Sorry, I chose Powerful Mind as the one I wanted to have for my character. That's the one. And it should be on there if I... Yes, it's right here. So you're supposed to match them up with the symbols down here. So I have that symbol here, and I believe that's the same symbol as my Sorceress card right here. So I'm able to learn that one. Of course, like I said, it had to be class specific when it came to human stuff. So that's her. Again, a lot to talk about, but we're going to... And I didn't actually talk about the spells. I didn't show you at least what the spells are. I talked a little bit on them with the elf. This is our first one. We have Green Flame. I can choose a target to suffer 5 damage, and adjacent enemies suffer 2. That's not bad. It's a range of 12. It's out of control. Then it has a area effect of 1, which like why it says it suffers 2 damage for being adjacent. I have Brain Damage. Choose a target and roll 5d6. Every result that's equal to or greater than the target's intelligence deals 1 damage. That's awesome. If it loses 1 more vitality, it gets stunned, which is a little bit less detrimental than in other games. You might have heard stun usually is like, uh-oh, end of the world. Nope, this one you just basically lose -1 to all your attributes, except for things that are naturally occurring, like your armor and things of that nature. This one is going to be sweet as God crush them. Check this out. This has 12 range. Oh my gosh, it costs 2 mana to cast. Choose a target, and all characters in adjacent squares suffer 5d6 damage against natural armor. And before rolling the damage die, though, I have to roll a d6. If I get a 1, it targets me instead, which is really bad, but I think it'd be really good at the end. And then we have arrows. What arrows? Casters can only target himself, caster, and all friendly characters within this spell's area effect at +1 natural armor against non-magic projectiles. So we have 2 different ways to help ourselves with projectiles, which is pretty cool. Which means we'd be modifying the things by more than one source, and you can do that, but you can never get anything more than +3 or -3 from how I understand it. So no matter how many bonuses you get, you can never go above those numbers. The last character on our group here is going to be Bosco. He is a halfling rogue. Again, his attributes are right here. He gets +1 to dexterity, which is going to be pretty good. He's going to be obviously good at opening locks and doors and things like that because he has a rogue. And of course, they do have miniatures here. This game came with a set of miniatures, and full disclosure, the copy I'm playing right here was given to me by the creator. So and it came with everything that is part of the Kickstarter. If you're interested in seeing what all that is, you can check out the unboxing of this game. It is on my channel. Please feel free to check it out. I'll put a link to it in the description. I probably will. And so this person's got a lot of skills and it's got some cool things in his backpack, but let's go through it all. I got leather armor, a sling, and a dagger. So he's the only one with a ranged weapon. Naturally, of course, I do have spells that I can shoot as range. Also, this one does come with a extra little thing here. He can roll a d6 when I enter a tavern. On a result of 6, I automatically get a coin because I'm super good at cheating. And then I also get this flute, and once per game session, or once per quest, I'm sorry, I can roll a die, and I can play my flute, and all enemies within 6 or less squares away from him must pass an intelligence test or lose their turn. Again, not groundbreaking, but a little trick and thing to make this character feel more alive and different from other rogues in the game. There's the halfling and rogue things here. The rogue does begin with the skills Skulk and Mislead and gets +1 to dexterity test. And again, it already says +1 there, so I don't know if that would have came from this card or if it came from there. Either way, I've been playing it that this is adding to this, which might be wrong, but that's okay. Can't wear heavy armor or equipped shields. Can't use two-handed weapons. Any increase to might or health requires 1 or more skill points, and second increase to combat skill requires 1 more point than usual. Again, he's not built to be combat oriented. He's kind of got a... Well, he's a thief. He's a master of all these little things he's got. Look at all these little things he's got over here. He's got small, which meant that when I'm trying to shoot him, you get -1 penalty, and the character can cause 1 damage die less when using projectile weapons. Not so with throwing weapons. They also get +1 to their perception for being small. I'm lost in the dark. It's lucky me. He gets lost in the dark thanks to being a halfling. Apparently doesn't have dark vision. So just like the human up there, I'm not good in the dark, which is kind of funny. Stealth characters can ignore an enemy's melee range once per combat turn. The skill can't be used by large characters. So when you're moving around the map, as soon as you enter a melee range of somebody, which is usually adjacent, you have to stop your character. This skill allows me to at least ignore it 1 time. That's what that card does. And I got Skulk. Characters may skulk behind some pieces of furniture and provide light cover, as it provided heavy cover. So it's allowed to change the cover that some of the furniture you're going to have to deal with out there does. The initiative roll against the character suffer -1 penalty to intelligence when the rule caught by surprise is applied. And large creatures can't use this skill, which makes perfect sense. And mislead, I can basically roll a die and check against their intelligence to prevent them from, it will lose their next turn. That's usually kind of what this card does, but if we use it, I'll read the whole thing to you. Then I'm taking up a lot of time just reading about all our characters here. And he gets a squeaky bird, which removes vermin and bats, and this one I get rat poison, which removes vermin and bats if I ever run into them. I get lockpicks, which are going to be able to help me with dexterity checks, and I get no negative values. They break if they fail, which is kind of bad, and I get a dexterity potion, which of course will give me +1 to any of these attributes that seem to be associated with dexterity more than anything else, and I get of course +2 to dexterity for during the turn and the next 2 ones, so the potions do last longer. I'll be using dice to represent that, so if I use it, I'll put a die on it to try to remember each round to tick those down, and then remove the card after I use it. That's going to be my plan. Now you notice this little 1 here. This is going to add to the value points of each of these characters as we're playing. So he's worth 10, +1 is 11. And the magic user is actually worth 14, and the paladin's really only worth 10. Returning to the actual mission of the game, if you've noticed in our book here, we are starting our quest down in this area of the game. And if you notice a 1 here on this red flag, that is the beginning of how this quest has started. So I've been using our little character as a little marker here as our party markers. I think it's super cool to do. And we're going to be trying to get to mission 2, which is going to be right here. But I don't want to go there quite yet because I did take some damage from the last mission. So I want to try to move back over into this town. Now before we do that though, I do want to give you a little bit of more what's going on here. So we had to stop some bandits from attacking some civilians. The reason they did is because for the last year, we were able to, they kind of had a treaty between these rogues that were not to ever hurt anybody coming up north, but apparently that's kind of started to stop. So we were sent out to kind of see about what's going on. We stopped the civilians. We were given 10 gold for that, and we came back, and then we're going to come back to town to rest and get ourselves back up and running. And I want to show you how this part of the game works. This is the campaign travel map, and as you can see over here, not only are there yellow flags and red flags, but there's also these blue flags. These blue flags are like side quests that you can do, and there's an astronomical amount of them all over here. Almost every region has a side quest. If we want to go on it, it's up to us, but we're going to probably stick with the main quest for now because I don't know how powerful the side quests are, and I don't feel like really getting absolutely destroyed in my very first playthrough to show you how this game is done. Not to mention, it's still kind of teaching us a little bit about this game going through missions 1 and 2. Like I said, mission 1 did not have any really dark player things to do other than kind of roll dice to attack and defend. So I didn't want to use that one. I want to use the one where now we're going overland because we're going to have to draw some cards and roll some dice to see what could potentially happen to our characters as we're going through the land of this world. So I'm going to, if you notice here, I'm in a plains area or a road area, and I'm going to say I'm in the plains area, and I'm going to move back over to here. And when I move through there, I'm going to have to, for each day we're moving, I'm going to have to draw a card. On top of that, we're going to give you a good old truffle shuffle here. And then after we draw this card, we don't flip it over yet. We have to pull it out. That's going to be our card. Now from there, I have to roll a die, and I'm going to try to roll it here. We'll see how bad of an idea this is. I have to roll. Now if I get a 5 or 6, this will activate and I'll flip it over. So roll this up. I got a 3, so this card did not activate. So we're going to put that back on the bottom of the deck. The next thing we're going to do is that's one of our game turns, and each game turn represents kind of a week of travel. So I was traveling from this plains over back to this castle, and the castle is going to be is also another event card. So I'm going to move this book. We no longer need this book. I just wanted to show you what that looked like. And now we have our castle deck here. And of course, every one of these is located out here. So this is the symbol for this. So I'm going to be drawing one of these cards. And again, something might happen. So we're going to give these a good old truffle shuffle here. So we have them ready to go. And we're going to draw this one right here. That's going to be the one we draw. Now again, I'm going to roll my die. If I get a 3+, then this event is going to take place. I did. I got a 3+, so we're going to flip this card over and we're going to deal with it. It says scourges. There are plenty of orphan children in this town. They roam the streets in groups that are busy trying to distract travelers, to steal their bags of money and belongings. Each hero must pass a perception test or lose 1 coin and a random object from their backpack. Oh, that's bad news, City. Okay, we don't want any of that. So let's go ahead and show you how these tests work. To make an attribute test, we're going to be rolling 2d6, and we're going to add the value that it's talking about. Now, if we look at our characters, nobody has any extra to perception. Right here, I have a 0 to perception. He does have a skill called the sharp senses, so he gets +1. So our paladin's going to roll, and I need to get a 10 or better. And he got an 8 + 1 is 9, so that's not enough. He's going to lose 1 of his coins. Next, we're going to go to our sorceress. Our sorceress got an 8. She doesn't have any extra bonuses to it. And surprisingly, our halfling, I don't believe, has any either. Let me just quick make a check here. He does not. Except for this skill. He does have this skill here. It says those trying to shoot at this character get negative penalty. Character of this skill cause 1 damage less when using projectile weapons, not so with throwing weapons. And they also get +1 to their perception. So he does have +1. So he needs to roll a 9 or better. Let's see how he does. He got an 8. I missed it by 1 by so many guys. So all of our characters did lose 1 gold. We did get 10 for completing that last quest. So now we're down to 7 plus whatever their starting gold was. After having dealt with that event, I did put out our gold coins. I think it's just going to be easier to do it this way. So he has 3, she has 5, and he has 6. I used these really cool coins that we got with the Kickstarter here for Dungeon Universalis. It's even got the DUN on the back of it. So these are all worth 5, and these are worth 1. Now that we've entered this town, we're able to take advantage of some of these events if we want to. Or I shouldn't say events, but locations. So we have these deck of cards right here. There's so many decks of cards, which really makes this game cool because there's going to be so many different things that can happen. These are all the different places that we can go in this town. I took out all the other cards that are not part of this town. Look, there's all these other things you can go to. And they're all listed here. Like we have Alchemist Shop. That one doesn't have one. We have guards. Thank goodness we don't have that one. We got blacksmiths and armories. There's prisons. There's temples, there's homes. You can even buy a home in this game, which is pretty sweet. There's ports and stuff like ports. There is, let's see here, some other herbalists. We have, there's a really cool one in here somewhere. I think it's a really neat one. Where is it? Oracles. Look at that. There's even places where you can go visit oracles, which is pretty cool. But the ones I've taken out here are these. Now you can spend 1 whole turn, I guess, of the game, which it makes a difference because the first 12 weeks of this game are going to be in the winter. Then it's going to be 40 weeks not in the winter, and that's going to change how some of the river and mountain areas work when it comes to the game. Now we're probably not going to be dealing with any of that because I'm only going to be moving probably up to this place for our second mission. But if we had been playing this game over a large scope and have gotten farther in the game, the ice sheet would have come down from the north and you could travel across it without having to use like boats and things of that nature if it's the winter time. So it's kind of cool how that all works. There's even like changing seasons that affects the game. So we're going to decide, I can choose 3 different places to go. And I think one of the places we're going to go is the tavern. We're also going to go, I think, to the physician so we can heal ourselves, or conditions or healing injuries. But I think we can also heal ourselves in the tavern as well. Then I think the inn. That's another one we want to go to. And then we might go to the market and see there what we might want to do. We could potentially find a rare item that we could buy. Or check this one out, the king or governor's quarter. We could go there. Now, of course, if you do real badly, we cannot ever come back. But if you do real great, you can unlock some of those side quests. Now, those quests that I showed you in the book that aren't the main quests are not open unless you locate somebody that is able to tell you about them. So, for example, our king's governor's quarters here at the bottom, I can go to one of them in they become available within a radius of 5 territories. So that's pretty much all. That's a basically huge amount. I could go to a stable to buy potentially a horse or something if I wanted to, or I could go to the treasury and I can have not only keep my money safe so those people don't take my money again, or I could go to a lender to gain more money, but of course I'm paying it back at 150%. So there's a whole bunch of different places to go, but I think we're going to go to these 3, the inn, the market, and we're also going to go to the tavern. So let's start by going to the tavern. Let's go to the tavern first. That's going to be our first place to go. So let's take a look and see what it says here. A place where heroes may have some rest and fun, but also get into trouble. Now remember, when I go to a tavern, he gets to fire off here. Every time I go to a tavern, I roll a die, and he gets a 6, he wins 1 coin. So let's roll a die right here so you can keep it on the camera. I did, but I did not get a 6, so I did not get my coin back. That's too bad. On top of that now, I'm going to roll a d6 and check the results in the following chart. And the roll gets -1 penalty in case all heroes have different alignments to the one in the settlement. We said we're all good, and the blue symbol here on this shows it is a good symbol. There are ones out there that are going to be black, which are going to be more of the bad symbol with the red outlines. Those are the evil towns. So we're going to roll up our die and see what we get here. We got a 2. It says a random hero starts gambling and must pass an intelligence test. If he succeeds, he gets D3 coins. If he fails, he's cheated and loses 3 coins. If he refuses to pay the money, I play the guards card. I don't think we want to see the guards card. The guards card's going to be pretty bad. So we have to make an intelligence check against and see if we pass this. So I'm going to take my smartest person. I don't see why I wouldn't. We're going to have our sorceress. Our sorceress is going to go play the odds here. I'm going to need I get to add 5 to my roll. That's what those numbers do when you make your test. You're going to be adding these numbers to it. So I get to add 5. And I need a 10 or better adding to that 5. I got a 6 plus 5 is going to be 11, just barely, but we'll take it. I was able to win D3 coins, so we'll roll our die. The way we do it is 1 and 2 is 1, 3 and 4 is 2, and 5 and 6 is 3. We're able to win ourselves 2 more coins, so she's up to 7. Once we finish this roll, we now get to look at the bottom part, and it says, objects for sale, supreme beer or vigorous mead. Also, there are services here. I could hire mercenaries if I wanted to. I'm not going to, but these would be other characters that would help us fight in this game. Now, of course, I can't hire religious fanatics, it says here. So we have potentially supreme beer. I can buy this for 1 coin, and it weighs 1. And this means it's a consumable, so it's going to go away once it's done. And it's going to give me +2 to the user's courage test during the next turn and the next 3. That might be kind of good. I might give this to the elf. The elf only has 2 slots left for max weight, but now it's going to have, so I'm up to 15, but that'll be pretty good. I'm going to buy that for $1, so I'm going to spend my buck and I'm going to buy it. The other thing we could buy is vigorous mead. It gives +1 to my strength during this turn and the next 3, and the user also recovers 1 point of health. Again, it costs 1 and it weighs 1. Let's load up our elf's gonna be super thirsty. He's gonna have a lot of beer and mead, and I'm gonna spend 1 coin to buy that one as well in the tavern. Having completed our tavern, let's go to our next location. I think we're going to go to our inn, and it says here, a place to rest and recover where heroes may also heal minor wounds. Objects for sale, again, supreme beer, pack of provisions, and potentially torches. We might be trying to buy a torch here because, of course, 2 of our characters can't see in the dark. Services, recover. 2 coins for each hero recovers all lost vitality, mana, and fortune points, but the condition diseased, poison, and all injuries remain. It's going to be +1 coin for all large heroes, +1 coin if a hero has heavy armor, and +1 if he carries projectile weapons, gunpowder, or lead. And all pets and mercenaries in the party are fully recovered too as soon as their maintenance is paid for. That's why one of the reasons I didn't want to get a mercenary is you do have to continuously pay their upkeep in order to keep them in your party, and I don't want to deal with that. So I'm going to pay 2 coins per hero, which means we're going to pay 6 coins. And once those 6 coins are paid, all of our heroes are going to be fully healed. Like I said, when I did the actual combat, I kind of moved some of the tokens around and forgot to put them back on some of the characters, so I forgot what they are. But I did leave my damage out there, so we are going to heal all the damage, and I'm going to gain back all my fortune points and all my manage points, so my characters are going to be back to full health, which is going to be super good going into the next adventure. Now, I might have to pay +1 more coins if my person has heavy armor. If we look here on our chainmail may be heavy armor. It is. So I have to pay 1 more coin for him to stay there, so I'll just pay 1 extra one. There we go. We've paid all of our coins. With the inn completed, I wanted to get some torches. That's right, let's get some torches. We are going to get this. It says light source illuminates a section of or an area within a radius of 6 squares in outdoor scenarios. While lit, after being used during a quest, discard the object. It can be used as a melee weapon if I wish to, or tool against enemies. Vulnerable to fire. That makes total sense. It's going to be 1 weight, and it's going to cost me 1 gold. I'm going to give that to our sorcerer. Sorceress. She's going to pay the 1 coin for that, and then we're going to be done with our inn, and we'll move to the market. The market states that it will offer all sorts of common objects. They are crowded with stalls selling foods and tools. All common objects, healing potions, also the following weapons: tool, dagger, shortbow, improvised weapon, and sling. I don't need any of that. This is the thing I'm more excited about. Roll a d6 per group and campaign turn. When heroes visit a market, on a result of 6, a merchant will offer 1 random magic item for the usual price. If you choose to buy it, you must roll a d6 again. On a result of 1 or 2, you realize you have been conned. The object is not magic nor useful and may be discarded. If 1 or more heroes has the skill Secrets of Magic, which we don't, you can repeat the roll. So it does down here say only 1 magic item per year. So I'd have to wait a full year before another one will come here. But first we have to see if there even is one. And, well, I got a 1. So that's the farthest thing from magic item in this place. So we've done everything in our town, which is super cool. That's a neat thing that you can do, is go to all these towns. Now, again, this is in a free open world. I could attend, if I wanted to, and I really wanted to see like a alchemist, I could walk right past this mission and go right up to this town and try to go to an alchemist up here. There's even a blacksmith up here. So I could go up there if I wish to, and like, there's even a training station here where I could learn new skills and things. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to keep on going. So for the next part of our turn, we are going to move out of this town. And once we move out of the town, we're going to have to deal with one of the events that is in here. We can either deal with the plains, or I could say I'm traveling on the road, because the road goes through this town up to here. So since we were going to, I think we're going to stick with the road this time and move up to this area. But no, I think we're going to go, yeah. And then we're going to have to deal with a forest event when I go to that mission. That's going to be the deal. So actually, no, I think we're just going to stick with the plains. I think that'll be more exciting. We're going to grab our plain deck again and give it a good old truffle shuffle. We'll take this one. We'll roll our die. I need a 5+ for this to take effect. And we got a 1, so it does not take effect. So we're going to put that one away. Then we're going to grab our forest and give that a good old truffle shuffle and see if we can have one of these activated. Now, I think they're all 5s on these, but I could be wrong. We'll just give them a truffle shuffle, and we'll grab one of them right here. We'll grab this one and see what we get. Roll up our die. Hopefully it's a 5 or 6, because I want to see something. We got a 1. So I guess nothing happened to us. That's too bad. So we're going to be moving into our adventure here on this area of the forest. That's going to be our plan. Let's take a look at our adventure in the book, and I'll hopefully walk through how that's all going to take place. Here we are. This is Quest 2. It's called Rogue's Lair. It's going to take us about 90 minutes to 2 hours, which is why I said I'm going to probably do this in a couple of videos. It does show the difficulty is going to be 2, I guess, daggers, you could say. It's anywhere, I think, from 1 to 5. It will have some text here that I will read shortly to show you what's going on. Our goal is to knock out Rogue, and the faction we're going to be fighting with is bandits. Rogue's Lair. I'm going to attempt to read this best I can. It's written in a weird font, so it's kind of tough to see some of these letters. But here we go. Deep inside the forest of Rohan, there is such a big manor that it could look like a small fort. At one end, a town has been erected with masonry ashlars, and the windows of the ground floor of the building have been blinded with planks. That is said to be the den of Rogue, a veteran mercenary who abandoned his profession to carve out a career outside the law. He is followed by a group of faithful ones who glorify his strength and determination. Some were companions in the trade. Others have been chosen from among the best thieves and murderers in the region. Together they form a small clan of outlaws that often descend south to devastate the region of Virnek. Again, I'm not wanting to spoil too much, but I want you to know exactly what we're going to be doing here. Of course, you don't really know what the first mission was all about, but I don't want to spoil it. But basically, you ran into some of these bandits, and you had to fight them. That was the deal. And now we're going out to go deal with this guy himself. Each mission will totally have a setup that you're going to be going through, and you need an advancement and reserve point counters. This is the reason I'm doing number 2. In the first one, they didn't use that, and it says here, before building the Dark Player's deck, discard the following obstacle cards from the game. So we're going to be removing all those from the obstacle deck, and I'll show you those in a second. And we're going to put aside, face up, the following obstacle card, Locked Door, and I'll show you where that is going to go. That's going to be part of the actual board setup. The Dark Player must spend 5 reserve points on the leader. And I'll explain reserve points again as we get to setting up this game. The furniture we're going to be using is barrel boxes, armory, beds, dining room, cupboards, fireplaces, and chests. These are going to be able to be interacted with to be able to do certain things or maybe gain items. Locked doors at no cost. 2, stairs where the character steps on the square. he will immediately appear on the other square with the same numbering. There may be no contact between characters located on different floors. And the leader, Rorg, is the symbol there, and that's the banded boss. He uses a broadsword, a shield, and chainmail, and I'll show you where that is. Here is the map that we're going to be playing on. So we're going to be playing, Rorg is going to be right here. So we have to get to him. We're going to be starting right here in this symbol right here. So we have to kind of get through this area up to 2 and come around in here. If you do not want to know what is going to be coming out in map tile wise, there is an app that you can use for this game that will allow you to only reveal stuff as you go, so you don't actually know the full extent of what's going on the board. I'm not using the app. I'm going just with what we have here. So these are all going to be doors. These are going to be the different types of furniture that we have based on the number here. They are found up here. So it's really well laid out, and we'll get it up onto the board and get going pretty soon. Our quest will end, and when it does, we're going to read the narrative T3. If the mission's failed, we're going to read narrative T4. Then the rewards here are +1 XP for the heroes that have accomplished the mission on their first attempt, and +1 if the heroes have scored more achievement than the dark player. If you only get 2 chances to complete a quest. If you fail on both attempts, then you have to continue on, and this narrative will potentially tell you kind of what happens, and hopefully, and the game really doesn't end. It just goes maybe down different paths, or certain things are going to be more powerful going into the next part. It all depends on kind of what the quest is that you're going on. Here's what our board looks like when it's all set up. I did change out some of the doors though, because they're kind of cool. These are the doors that normally you put on the board. They open and close, but I have these cool looking doors, so we're going to use these. I think this will be kind of fun. I don't have a double door though, so we are going to use the double door. Here, we have our table. This is our fireplace. We have some boxes and barrels here. Here's the armory, and we have a bed over there. These are all different furnishings that we can decide to search if we want to. For example, here's our boxes and barrels card. So if we go up next to it, I can take a look at it. It also tells you how high this is, so you can use it as cover if you wish to. It says here, though, if there are several boxes and barrels in the room, whoever searches them must roll a 2d6. 2, a hidden rat bites a character. 8, 3 coins are found. 9. So like different things can happen as you decide to search these. So we might give it a shot. We'll see what happens. If anything, we can use them for cover against some enemies if they're in that room. Next, we have to set up all the different decks for our artificial dark player. That's going to be our next step. We have 3 different decks we have to set up. We have to take our furnishings deck, like I said before, which are right here. We're going to place this off to the side over here. Whenever we go to one of those furnitures, we'll look up the different furniture and we'll deal with it. We also have a special event elements deck, and there are a ton of these. This certain scenario did not tell us to use any of them, but for example, some of the scenarios will have different ones that you can use. For example, this one might have prison the lady, so we might have to deal with that if we're on certain situations. There could be, for example, a fighting pit as well that are going to be part of the dungeon. So the tiles can be reused, and these different special elements will allow us to make each of the dungeons we go into unique and interesting. This again is very kind of tutorial type things. We're not using any of those, but we do have some of the furnishings. The next deck we have to make is going to be our obstacle deck. Oh, this is our power deck. I'm sorry. This is our power deck right here. You can tell by the symbol right up there. This shows how much it's going to cost the dark player to use this. This shows us how much it's going to get back if he decides not to use it at some point. When we create this deck, we're also going to shuffle in 2 reinforcement cards. You're going to shuffle in 1 unless you have more than 2 characters. Then you're going to shuffle in 2. And we're going to draw a number of these equal to 6 times the number of players, so 18. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 6 times 3 is 18 last time I checked. We're going to take our 2 cards here, give these all a good old truffle shuffle so that they're all set to go and completely randomized. And then to remember which dark deck is which, since they all have the same back, you place them next to the icon on this chart here. This also shows how many points the dark player is going to have. The dark player's total points they're going to get for this adventure is going to be 35. I found that out because it's 10 for each of our characters according to our sheets up here, and it's 1 for each item that has a 1 on it like this. Of course, some of these might have 3 or 4. We only have ones that have 1 point, so we're going to add each of those up, and they're going to get a total of 35 points. We do have to subtract 5 from this because it does say in the book that to spawn the boss it costs us 5. So it's already taken those 5 points into account, so we're going to remove move this, we're going to go from 1 down to 0, but there isn't a 0 on this dial for some reason, so we're just going to put it to there and in between the 10 and the 1, and hopefully I can remember that that is a 0. Then we're going to take our obstacle cards that are going to have this symbol up here, which is, then they've got a little bit different things here going on. This shows again how much it would cost to have it, how much it's going to get back, and this shows what exactly it would be able to affect. So for complete darkness, it would affect everything. There might be some in here that only affect, for example, doors or something. Here's one that could be something. Here's one. This would, like, reinforced door would only affect doors. So if we are rolling and we're trying to see if there's a trap on the ground and we draw this card, we wouldn't be able to play it, but it cost him 3, but he would get 2 back for not being able to play it. So that's how this particular deck is going to work. We're going to give this a good old truffle shuffle. Now remember, I took out all of those cards it told me to take out, and then we're going to draw 18, 6 times 3 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So I'm not using 3. That's kind of funny. And then I'm going to add in a thief card, and I'm also going to add in 2 ambush cards. One for a 2-player game, and if you have more than 2 characters, you add in a second one. And again, give all these cards a good old truffle shuffle and place them out right here. Then we're going to take the remaining deck, which is the encounter deck. And that's this small deck right here. We're going to draw a number of cards equal to our character count, our value points, which is 30 divided by 10. So we're going to take 3 of these. So again, give them a good old truffle shuffle, draw out 3 of these. Let's see if we can get this to shuffle in there. There we go, one more shuffling here. There we go. Let's see if we can get it a little bit better. It's just seeing these cards are kind of sticky because it's a newer game. We're going to draw 1, 2, 3, put them right here. That is going to be our encounter deck. I'm going to slide our furniture deck up to there. And there we have it. This is going to be our dark player's board here, the artificial dark player. Now, if we had a normal dark player, he'd be able to draw these and keep these in his hand and be able to play these out on you, because this could be played with a type of dungeon master if you wish to, and then this would not be automated. This would be under control of that character. There's also an advancement board as well that you're going to be placing different advancement tokens on to see how many points you get compared to the dark player. And these are just going to go up and down on that track like that. But again, I have a dial for it, so we're going to use this. Again, there's no zeros on it. I don't know why. And we're just going to place that right here, and we're going to keep track of our adventure or advancement points on that and see if we can beat the dark player and therefore gain more experience. The last thing we're going to do to get this set up is we've got our bandits. This is the faction we're playing against. It shows all the different ways these are going to spawn. So if we ever have to spawn enemies, we're going to be spawning bandits according to the scenario. And it says here that I'm going to add 1 to the result for the revealed section is large. So if we were to be in a large section, that would add +1. There is one large section, which is actually right there. Once we go in there, we'll add 1 if we find enemies. And we get +1 for every 30 value points the group of heroes has. And we do have 30 or more. We have 35. So we'll be adding 1 to every time we roll this. And this shows the value points that are going to be used by the artificial dark player when it goes to spawning these, and it shows what exactly is going to be put onto the board that we're going to have to deal with. And all of those characters are going to be found in these neat reference cards right here. And it even has a little back thing about the little backstory about the bandits. I don't know if we need to read the backstory. And it shows the standees you're going to use for the bandits when it comes to it. And you're going to just locate these amongst all of these astronomical amount of standees that we've seen. If you missed how many there are, go check out the unboxing. Most common skills are ambush and dirty fighter, so they do have those on the back here, so you don't have to go digging for those particular skills if you want to learn what they are. Or, of course, you could find them in the book. It's nice that they have those on the reference, but of course there are going to be some in here that probably have a little bit different. One's probably not the boss. Maybe the assassin might have something a little bit different. This one has, for example, Lost in Dark, Ambush, Stealth, Lethal Blow. So it has a whole bunch of different ones. You'd have to look up a few of those, but most of them are located on here, have those normal ones. So that's going to be pretty cool. So we have those ready to go too. So when I do have to place out the enemies, I have the cards ready to go. This is a really cool thing to have. I'm super, super excited to have these. If not, you would have to go to your bestiary book that is going to be part of this game. It has every different enemy in here, so you have to look for the bandits and see, and in here it would show exactly what they have. So here's the Northern Barbarians if we wanted to use those. It has the pictures of what they are. It has their rolling here, and it has the different enemies and abilities they're going to have. I like it better that they're on these cards because then they're quickly, easily to be referenced. With everything set, it is time to start our adventure. We're going to be starting over in this area, and all of our characters technically kind of start off the map, and we're going to be moving them onto the map and dealing with this large, huge room and all these fun things are going to happen. Here's how this game works when it comes to moving. You're going to take your movement stat, and then you're going to be able to start moving. I'm going to start with our paladin here. He's going to move 1, and you can move diagonal as long as you're not going past something that's a corner of anything. So I'm just going to go 1, 2 to right there. And now this is the interesting thing about this game. There is this what's called zone of safety, and everything within 2 squares of anything else that is, like, I guess you could say, loyal to you. So this is the entrance. So from here we have a zone of safety that is 2 squares out from it in any direction. So this area of the map is safe to walk through. But once we get to the 3rd step, that is where we're now out of the zone of safety, and we're going to have to roll a die to see if there's anything there, like a trap of some kind. Now, that's the only thing we're looking for on this die is a trap. Well, actually, we're hoping it's not there. There's a 50% chance of a trap. This is an encounter. Whenever you go into a new room, you'll roll the die, and if you get an encounter, then you're going to draw from the encounter deck up here, and there potentially could be some monsters in there. This is the power die. If it's rolled while you're in combat, it'll give a boost to the enemies as you're fighting them. So we'll roll our die here and see if there is an obstacle in this area. We rolled an encounter, so that means the obstacle is not there. So I can continue walking if I want to, but I'm going to be, again, out of the zone of safety. I think we're going to stop right there. We're going to move to our next character, which is going to be our rogue. I'm going to move our rogue next, who has a 5 speed, and he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It costs 2 to move through people, so maybe going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 around over here to this door would be my best bet. Remember, I have my zone of safety here, and then he is creating, again, another zone of safety. That's my movement. Now, you're also allowed to do free actions and actions as well. And here's a list of all the actions and free actions you can do on your turn. It's amazing how many different things you can do. They're all right here on this card. And all the ones that have to do with this symbol here, those are exploration actions that you can use. So you can reveal a new section, open an unexplored door, open a lock, open a chest, solving a riddle. I could attempt to search for secret doors. I can search the room. I can search or interact with elements. Now, all the ones that don't have it are going to be ones that are going to be not exploration ones, such as running, doing a great jump, climbing out of pits. Some of the other ones are, here we go, putting on or off armor, deactivating traps, persuading through intellect, or moving furniture. All these different things can be done, and these are double-sided, so this, of course, is telling us how the turn starts. I should have started with this. We recover any characters that are stunned. Roll a d6 on a 4 plus the condition is removed. Now, we don't have any of those people. We also are then going to perform actions and moves. 1 action and 1 move. In addition, 1 quick action at no cost. You can replace 1 action with a 2nd quick action. These have to do with different terrains. We're not going to be getting into this because I don't think we're going to be dealing with any types of terrains that are going to be different from just the basic floor you see in front of us. Now, what free actions do we have? That's a great question. Some of the quick actions you can do are giving an item to an adjacent companion. I can leave or pick up something located in a reachable place within 1 square view. So say like a weapon has fallen off say you're disarmed or something, you can pick up your weapon as a free action. Of course, if you are in a zone of combat, a melee zone, it would actually take an action in order to do it. You can activate a lever. You can open or close a door. That gives access to an area you've already explored. It has to be so this is not a free action, open this door, but if it was already open, I could close as a free action. We can equip objects. The player wants to take out a new object. For example, if I wanted to switch weapons with him to another weapon that he has, I could drink a potion or use any other disposable objects. And that's really about it. Those are all the quick actions you can do. There are so many different things you can do in this game. It's super, super cool. That's the end of his movement, and I don't think there were any free actions I wanted to do with my paladin. We are going to move to the rogue, though. He has moved, and now he can do an action, so he is going to attempt to open that door. So we again have to roll the die. If we get an obstacle, we're going to have to deal with that door here. So let's see what we get. We did get an obstacle, so we're going to draw the top card from our obstacle deck and see what we get. We have found ourselves an armored chest. So this is all, before we do anything else, it is going to cost 2 points to our the artificial dark player here. So we're going to go down to 30, 29, 28. So we're going to go to 28 points right now. So we'll go down to 28. There we go. We've paid for the card. At this point, we're going to check the card to see if it's usable on a door. Only thing we have is a chest down here. So this cannot be used on the door. So instead, we're going to discard it and remove it from the game and gain back our 2 points to go to 30. So we'll bring this back up and go bring this to 30. There we go, just like that kind of ish. Okay, perfect. That's the end of that. So since there was no traps on that door, I could potentially open this door if I wanted to, and I think we are. We're going to open this door. So we're just going to swing the door open, and he's going to be standing right here in front and see what we find. Hopefully it's not an encounter because I'm not really fully set because our wizard hasn't even gotten in the door room yet. But that's okay. We'll see how it goes here. Roll this die and see what we get. We got a power symbol, so that means we did not find an encounter in the room. That's totally fine with me. Now, to make sure that you're not always not finding encounters, I guess you could say, if you ever get to a point where you explored 2 rooms and you haven't found an encounter, you roll the die twice to see if you can find an encounter. So it does eventually encourage you to get encounters. And if you ever enter a big room, after a certain amount of non-encounters, you automatically find an encounter, if that makes any sense. So that's the end of our rogue's turn. Our rogue is going to be finished with his turn. He has done his action, his movement. He would be able to do a quick action, but I don't think there's anything he needs to do. I don't think he needs to drink any potions or give anything to anybody at this time. It's going to be our wizard's turn. Our sorceress. I should be calling her a sorceress. Our sorceress has a total of 5 speed. So she again is going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get right there next to that door. That's totally fine. We have a great zone of safety right now. And at this point, I could choose to cast a spell if I want to as my action. And we do have some pretty good spells, like this one that could prevent arrows from attacking us. Or we have Green Flame. That's a combat spell. That's another combat spell. And there's a combat spell. So we have this one we could cast. I think we're going to do that. And I'll show you how this works, because this is going to be one that stays in effect for a certain amount of time. So when we get to another room that potentially has enemies with arrows, with this already up, that's going to help us so much instead of having to spend the action to cast it at that point. And again, we have a great card for talking about casting spells. So to cast a spell, we're going to test intelligence. Now, of course, our sorceress is fantastic at that. She's got a +5 to the roll. And she might even have more with all of her different abilities that she has. The only thing she has is this one, where I can re-roll a failed intelligence roll, but I can only use it once per game. So I don't know if I really want to use it if that's the case. So we're going to roll 2 dice, and we're going to add 5. And I'm going to need to get a 10 or better in order to succeed on my intellect test. And we got a 7 + 5 is a 12, so that means our spell did go off. So if we look here, since it's a permanent spell, it's going to last for as many turns as the highest result of the 2 dice rolled in the intellect test. There cannot be 2 permanent spells activated at the same time. It is not a superior spell because it only costs 1 mana point in order to cast, found right here. If it were a permanent spell, I could not move when I went to cast the spell. For example, that one, I wouldn't be able to move and cast that spell. So this is going to cost me 1 of my mana points. I'm going to place it right there, indicating that that is the spell I've cast, and also that this has been casted once during the game. I can cast each spell up to a total number of times. It's 3, I believe. If I am wrong about that, of course, I'll be putting a subtitle right here. But remember, it was 3. There's a lot of things to remember in this game. And it's really cool to see them all interact together. So with this activated, I'm going to take a die now and place that on there so we know how many turns this is going to be able to last. We'll place that 4 right there, and we'll take that down at the beginning of our hero's turns. Moving over to our achievement board, we're going to gain achievement points based on things we've done during the turn. For every one of these type of enemies slain, we're going to gain some points. We also are going to get 1 for every successful cast or dispelled spell up to 5 times. So we did cast a successful spell. I'll put 1 point for us. That's fantastic. We also get 1 for detecting or disarming a trap. We also get 1 for finding a secret door or a lock or solving a riddle. Now the artificial dark player here is going to get 1 for each fortune point that we spent, which we haven't done, and +1 for the beginning of each turn, only until the heroes enter the main room. So if we go around searching for all these different places and trying to get all the equipment and awesome things in a room, then we eventually might end up losing to the dark player because they might be gaining so many points based on our not moving fast enough. And you also get plus the value of all knocked out heroes, which we haven't have any yet. We are done with our turn, so we are going to give the artificial dark player 1 point. So we're both tied right now at 1 apiece. And one of the ways you gain experience points is if you're able to beat the artificial dark player, or even the dark player when it's being played as a dungeon master type character. If you're able to beat them, you get extra points at the end of the adventure. Moving into our turn, I'll tick down our die to a 3 for our spell, and we'll move into, I think we'll use him again. He is going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think he has 5 movement. He has 6 movement. He can move one more, 6 right here, and our zone of safety is going to be 1, 2. So again, he is moved out of the zone of safety, so he is going to have to roll to see if we found an obstacle. So let's roll our die here. We got an encounter symbol again, so we did not find an obstacle at this point, and I'm going to spend my action to search this location. And to search it again, I'm going to check to see if there's an obstacle there. And again, we got the encounter die, so there is no obstacle, and we're going to look at the barrels and boxes card. So it says here there are several barrels and boxes in the room. Whoever searches them must roll a 2d6. So we are going to roll a 2d6 and see what we get. I'll take 2 white dice because they seem to be doing pretty good for me. I say that now and I roll a double 1. You watch. I got a 9. Okay. I'll take it. I'll take the 9. It says right here for a 9, 1 random common object is found. So we'll grab our deck. Here's our common objects. Notice by the symbols on the top of these cards, that signifies that these are common objects. We're going to give them a good old truffle shuffle here. And we're just going to draw the top card and see what we get. If I can even get a hold of the top card, there we go. We have found ourselves what is this? A squeaky bug. It automatically removes the special elements vermins, bats, and rats. It's $1 and it weighs 1. Now he can't hold anymore, I don't think. I think he's at full capacity on his weight. Yes. So I'll just leave it right there, and somebody else could come and pick it up if they wish to, because I'm just going to drop on the ground. I think that's how that goes because I'm out of room in my inventory to be able to carry anything else. I have a maximum weight of 16, and I am carrying 14 plus my 2 different types of ale that I have, so that is bringing me to 16 weight. That's the end of his turn. We'll move to the rogue's turn again. The rogue is, actually I think I'm going to use the wizard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It costs 5 again, or 2 to move over a character. I don't know if I mentioned that. To move past a character, you can do that. Now, you can't move past enemies unless you have special abilities or something. He's going to move, and you also cannot move diagonal into or out of one of these doors because this door is a small door. It only takes up this one spot. So if I can't move diagonal into these rooms. Just want to make sure people are clear on how that works as well. These doors are, I guess, a little bit different, hard to manage when it comes to that kind of concept, but I thought they're really cool to have on the board. He's going to go next. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to right there. I think he only has a speed of 5, so he's going to stop right before he hits that door, which is what I really want him to do. And I think he's going to take the squeaky bug. He's going to pick that up. As a free action, you can take things off the ground. So that brings his total. No, he does not have any room for it either. You guys have too much stuff. So then I guess it's just going to stay laying right there. Maybe we'll pick up the squeaky bug. Probably not. I don't know if I really even need that squeaky bug at all because he's got 2 different things that can also do this exact same thing. So I'm not too worried about it. That's the end of our turn. We'll move into the artificial dark player's turn. And we'll move up the counter by 1 to right there. He is now ahead of us. I know we haven't really seen much from the dark player right now, but that's just because we've been rolling really lucky. It could all go south pretty quick in this game. We'll move into our next turn, so I will tick down my die to a 2 for our arrows. What arrows magic spell we have cast. This time we're going to start with the rogue. I think is going to be my best bet. 1, 2, but if he does move, he's going to be outside the zone of safety. So I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 with the paladin first. He's going to move up to that door and he is going to roll the die and see if there's anything that has to do with this door. If this door is trapped or not. Let's check it out. The door is not trapped again. Wow, I'm getting absolutely amazingly lucky. I'm going to move my wizard next, or sorceress next, 1, 2 to right here, making sure we're kind of staying inside this zone of safety. And then we'll move the rogue up. Oh, I think actually I can open the door. I could open this door right now because it is not trapped at all. There's nothing preventing me from opening this door. These guys are super nice to just let us walk on in and open these doors. So I'm going to open this door. And again, we're going to roll our die and see if we find an encounter. And we did not. We found an obstacle, and we were looking for an encounter this time. Wow, absolutely amazing how this is going. Now, there is one thing. Whenever you open a big room, even if you rolled this number, you would still grab an encounter card, so you'd actually have 2 encounter cards going on. But since we rolled this, no matter what, there always will be an encounter in a big room. So we're going to draw our encounter card and see what has befallen our brave heroes. we have Enemy Spotted. Use this card as soon as the characters reveal a new unexplored section. The dark player may spawn creatures worth up to 6 points. Not 2 cards of these kind may be used in the same section unless it is a large one or the main room. Now, according to our card, we should be paying up to 6 points worth of enemies onto the board. Now, remember, these are used for both the artificial and regular dark player. So since we're using the artificial dark player, we're going to roll a d6 and see what we have to deal with from the bandit faction. So we're going to roll this die. We got a 2. We're going to be putting out 4 victory points worth of enemies, which is going to be 2 human bandits with broadswords and shields, and 2 spotters with crossbows. That's going to be what we're going to place out here, and it's going to cost us 4 in order to do that. So we're going to go from 30 down to 26 points here. We'll go ahead and tick all those down to 26, and that is what we have to deal with. Now that we know what we're facing, we have to place these characters out there. And they're going to be placed out in a checkerboard type pattern inside the room they're in. And they're also going to be placed in there based on what they're carrying. So I have 2 of my bandits that are going to have broadswords and shields. So we're going to place them in a certain pattern, and it is shown on one of the cards here. So it's going to be placed 2 spaces away from the open door, and then 1 next to it. Then 3 would be over here, and then 4, and so on. Now, if it's in a small room, the next set of characters we place behind them, kind of in a checkerboard type pattern here, like checkers. But if it's a big room, you're going to leave extra space between those enemies just to kind of give more of a feel inside the room. Now, we only have 4 enemies here, and facing does matter. We're going to put the first one there and the second one right here, because it did show 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 are going to go here and here. That's where our enemies are going to be placed. And now we're going to move into combat. And we have to start by seeing if we're able to perceive each other. In this particular instant, we're not going to be rolling to see if we actually make a test roll. We're going to be doing an opposing test. So I'm going to be rolling my dice versus the enemy's dice, and we're going to be checking our perceptions and seeing who is going to be able to perceive who first and who goes first. Now, our elf does have sharp senses, which I get +1 on my perception, but I do have chainmail armor, which is going to give me -1 to all of these tests, including my speed, so I might have not been able to move as far as I can. I forgot about my chainmail. And I also get -1 for my perception, which may have changed whether or not I found something in the barrel. Not the end of the world. We're going to continue going. I'm going to roll these 2 dice and check it against the perception of the closest enemy. And in case of a tie, you have to choose the one with the highest intelligence. Well, if we look at our cards here, lucky for us, they both have 0 perception. Oh, sorry, there it is. 0 perception. And their intelligence is both the same, 4 and 4. So it really doesn't matter who is making this test. There's nothing that gives them the ability to gain extras in their test, except they do have the ambush special rule. There's always something you got to check while you're doing this. It says here, characters get +1 to his initiative rolls. If his group wins the initiative, characters with ambush may reroll their first failed attack roll. So we don't want them to do that. We still want to win. That's going to be the goal. Let's roll these up and see what we get. We got natural 12, and apparently I decided to bring an Oathsworn die with me. Let's roll a different die here. A 10 and a natural 12. That's hilarious. So they did get +1, which means they have an 11, but we got a 12, so we won. And on top of that, when you roll for your initiative test, if both of your dice are higher than the intelligence of the characters that is making the initiative test, you get to catch them by surprise. So instead of them ambushing us, we caught them by surprise, probably right in the middle of their dinner or something. Since I caught them by surprise, I get to move each of these enemies 1 square anywhere in any direction I want to, and change their facing to any way I want. I'm actually going to move this guy up, change his facing backwards. They're all going to be facing backwards because you get +1 when you attack a person in the back. So we're going to turn them all just like that because they're all sad that this is about to happen to them. We're going to move this guy, I think, over to here. This guy's going to move up 1. This guy's going to move up 1. They're all just going to kind of come towards the door. They were all just kind of hanging around the fire, singing, having happy times. And then the door just secretly opened, and here come my team. And at this point, a new turn starts without the dark player gaining 1 point in the achievements. So it's going to go straight to our turn. I get to start again with a brand new round. This is going to be awesome. We're right in the back of these guys. This is going to be super good. We're going to start with the rogue this time. The The rogue is going to move his 4 speed, 1, or 5, I'm sorry, 1, 2 to right there, and I am behind this particular character here when I make my attack, so this is going to be an absolute good time. When going to make an attack against a character using melee weapons, you're going to use their skill here, which is 3. Their attack skill here is 3. Mine is a 4 on my rogue right here. I do have a couple things that are going to augment this though. Our dagger is going to give -1 to the user's attack strength here, but it reduces the target's armor by 1 if he's attacked from behind or knocked down. And there's no penalty for drawing this, where if you were to switch swords or something as a free action, there could be a penalty if you're within melee range of another character like I am at this point. I'm going to roll to see if we have an opposed, our opposing roll here to see if I'm actually able to hit this character. So we'll roll our dice and see how it goes here. I got a 9, they got a 5, and we get our +3s together, but those basically cancel out. So I did hit this character. So now that I've hit, I'm going to see how much damage I can do to them. Remember, their armor is reduced by 1 to a 2 because I am attacking from behind, and I actually did get +1 for attacking behind as well, so that would have been a 10. There's, again, a lot of things I have to remember, lots of pluses and minuses. I get to look at my combat strength now. My strength is only 2, so I only get to roll 2 dice to see how much damage I do, and their health value is 4. So I'm not going to be able to kill this guy, but that's okay. We're going to do some damage here. Let's see how it goes. I'm rolling these up, and I'm going to get equal to or above their armor here, and I did, so I'm going to be able to do 2 damage to one of those shooters. I'll put this right on them. If this character would have had a shield and been facing me, he could have attempted to parry this blow if he wanted to using the shield, but that would have also cost him action, but it would have prevented all the damage that went against him. But not going to happen because he's a shooter, doesn't have a shield, and 2, he's facing behind, away from me, which is absolutely awesome. I'm going to have our paladin go next. He's going to move 1, 2 to right there, and again attack this person from the back. We're again going to do opposed rolls here and see how this goes. I got a 6. And this one got a 7. And 7 plus 3 is 10, but 6 plus 5 is 11. So he beat him. So again, I'm doing damage. I'm using this weapon right here. I would get -2 damage dice against targets using heavy armor or shield. This one does have a shield, but I don't believe it's going to play into effect because it is behind. I am behind the person, so they can't actually use the shield. So we're going to roll our damage dice, which is going to be 4 plus 2 because of our scimitar. So that's 6 damage on this guy. And we need to roll a 3 or better on these dice to do some damage. Let's see how we did. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This guy's dead. He's super dead. He only has 4 health. So we were able to take out one of those bandits because they were facing behind us. So I don't believe the shield is able to come into effect from what I understand. I could be wrong about that because it does say even if they have a shield. I would go that they can't use their shield at all, so this guy's toast. After you've damaged or defeated an enemy, you can move into its square. Even if the person was still alive, I could push him back then 1 after I made the attack. It's kind of like you're dancing and attacking at the same time and kind of maneuvering into his squares. You're kind of pushing him back as you're fighting. That's going to be the end of our paladin's turn. Our wizard's going to go next. 1, 2, 3, 4 to right here. And I think that person is then, or maybe I might move to right here. There we go. We're going to go right here. And I'm going to cast a spell at that guy. I'm going to cast Green Flame. It has a range of 2 and an area of effect of 1. Potentially, it says choose a target. He suffers 5 damage dice. Adjacent enemy characters suffer 2 damage dice. Let's see if we're able to hit him. It's going to cost me 1 of my mana points. Now, before we cast the spell, we have to determine if we have line of sight. And line of sight is the center of my square to the center of that square. And actually, it's going to go through him. So I am going to move over 1 space over here. So I have a better line of sight to this guy so I can cast the spell. Actually, I'm going to move right there. That's where I'm going to move. Because back here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I can move to right there. How much speed does she have? She has 5. So 4, 5. I'm going to move to right there so I don't have anything impeding this spell. I'm just going to zap that guy. First, we have to see if we're able to cast the spell. I'll roll up 2 dice, and I need to get a 5 plus 5 is 10. That's just enough. I needed a 10 because you have to make an intelligence check. This is going to do 5 points of damage. We're going to roll these up and see how we do. Their defense or their armor is a 3, so I need to get better than a 3, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4 damage against this guy. And if we look at our character here, the bandit, human bandit has 4 health. So we were able to take that one out too. We got 2 of the bandits out, and they both are the ones with shields, which I'm not a big fan of shields. They can block all my attacks. I don't like that. And now on top of that, this spell does damage, 2 damage to the person next to him, which is one of the shooters. Oh, I didn't do any damage to the shooters. He got off scot-free. I guess he ducked behind his friend there and he took all the damage. I'm going to place one of my mana tokens on that to represent that I have casted that spell 1 time. I still have 2 more turns on this. Actually, I think it's only 1 because we did just start a new round after we opened that door. So there's only 1 left on this. So this is actually going to help us right now because the only characters on the board are the shooter characters. And this says, caster can only target himself. Caster and all friendly characters within spell's area of effect get +1 to natural armor against non-magical projectiles, and that's what they're going to be shooting at us. They're going to be using crossbows. Before we activate them, the artificial dark player will roll this die, and we're looking for a power symbol. We did not get that. We did not get this symbol. If we would have got that symbol, I would have drawn one of the cards from that deck, and we would have given that advantage to whatever is left on the board, which isn't much. Let's activate these characters now. To determine how they're going to activate, we're going to use our AI card here for Ranged Fighter. It says at the beginning of its activation, if it cannot shoot at a target or must reload, it will be activated last, relocating, which is going to be another rule. But we're not going to have to worry about that because they haven't actually fought yet. Target priority, enemy that is easiest to hit. So that'd be determining when you find an easier target to hit, that's going to probably do with range. In the way range works in this game is for every 3 squares past 0 you're fighting at, you're going to be giving negatives because it's going to have a harder time of hitting based on the range of the enemy. All of our characters are within easy range of this, or point blank range. So they're all easy enough to hit. They're all going to take the same to try to hit. Enemies with the lowest armor, that's going to be her. She has the lowest armor, I believe. It's only a 3. The other 2 characters have a 5 and 4 respectively. So this one is definitely going to be attacking her. Now it does say next, disengage. If engaged at the beginning of its activation, it will always try to disengage, moving in such a way that it can perform a ranged attack. Relocate. If it fails to disengage, it will fight in melee attack. So if it can't disengage from my rogue, it's going to fight. Push. After attacking and winning in combat, it will always push but not follow. Other rules, if target is in line of sight and within range, it will perform an attack and not move. So that's what that one's going to do. This one is going to try to disengage and maybe move to about here so it can attack from there. That's going to be the plan. If an attack is adjacent to an ally in the shortest needs a 10 or more, the shooter, needs a 10 or more to hit, it will choose another target. If this is not possible, it will choose to relocate. Must perform defensive shots whenever possible. If it can no longer perform ranged attacks, its behavior will change to a more melee style. When doing defensive shots, if somebody comes charging at you and you have a ranged weapon, you can use a defensive shot, which is going to be at a negative to hit. But remember, all these guys were facing backwards, so they couldn't come at, all my people coming at them couldn't do a defensive shot because of their facing. They weren't able to see me at all, which was pretty awesome. So these guys are going to go ahead and attack. This one's going to attack her from where he is. This one's going to try to disengage and then shoot at her from how I understand this card. All right, let's see if this person disengages. Normally you would do an agility test to try to break away or become unengaged with an enemy, but from what I understand, this character is small. And so a character, you can always unengage from a character, disengage from a character, not be, I should say, engaged with a character if you're higher or one taller than the other character. Now, if there are 2 smaller ones here, he would still be engaged. If this was a giant ogre and I had 2 small characters, it would not be engaged. It would need to be 3 of them in order to do it. It all is based on size. If I'm wrong about that, I would normally have to pass an agility test in order to become unengaged with the person I'm engaged with. So, for example, I believe if I was with the elf, I would have to use an agility to try to break away from him or be unengaged with him because he is the same size as me. From here, both of these characters are now going to turn, so that they can see this person. And facing does matter in this game, like I've said, so I am turning the characters like that. This one is facing this way now, and that one is facing that one. The back is always going to be the numbers on the characters' standees. That's the way I do it. So we're going to see if either of these guys are able to hit that sorceress. So we'll move to our shooting card here, and it says, I have to make an agility test to hit. In case of a blunder, character's activation ends and hits the closest ally among those advanced in the trajectory. Basically what that means is I'm going to do an agility check. I need to get a 10 or better to hit. If I get a blunder, which would mean if I get a 1, that would mean that and I don't hit, then I would take advantage of all of this down here. Here are some of the modifiers that I'll have to deal with. I am not small. I'm not a huge target. I am not a stationary target. I am moving and shooting at -1. -2 if the character moved more than half of his speed, will not be applied to throwing weapons when only 1 or 2 squares have been moved. Now these are not throwing weapons, so he is going to be at a -1 penalty. He will not. Next we have a flying target, heavy cover. I don't have any kind of cover at all. My agility is greater than the shooters. I don't believe that is the case. My agility is 4 and their agility is 5. So there's no way I am more agile than them. And I am not being attacked from the back, and I am not doing a defensive shot. If I were to charge at them, they would get that defensive shot. But defensive shots can only be carried out if when they're made with the enemy is 3 squares away. So when I actually made some of these attacks, I don't even think that would have even came into play, because I know he was less than 3. She would have probably maybe gotten shot, but that's okay. Distance to target 1 to 3 squares, no penalty. 4 to 6, -1. Like I said, anywhere past in increments of 3 or more. So if I'd have been 4, 7, 10, things like that, you're going to get -2. These guys aren't going to have that. So the only negative they have is a -1 for him for moving before shooting at the sorceress. So let's see how this goes. If you haven't noticed, this is a game of modifiers, and our shooters do get +5 to this because, or sorry, +3 to this is what they're going to get. So the first one that has no negatives to it got a total of 5, so this person missed. 5 + 3 is 8, it needs a 10. And now the one that has -1 to the roll got an 8, -1 is 7, + 3 is 10, that is enough. So he is going to do his damage to my character. And if we look here, there are 4 damage from a crossbow. It says right here it has a damage value of 4. So I'm going to have to deal with that. I get -1 to my armor. Now I do get +1 to my armor because of my magic spell, arrows. Arrows, what is this? So my armor is 3, so I need to see a lot of 1s and 2s. I see 2 2s, I'm liking that. So I did take 2 damage, which is going to bring my sorceress down to 2 health, which isn't that great. So we'll place our 2 damage up here. I could have used one of my fortune points if I wanted to make that character re-roll if I wanted to, but that's okay. We'll just take the 2 damage. I think we're doing fine. At this point, we're going to go into our next round, but first let's get our achievement points. The dark player gets 1, and then I'm going to gain 1 for a successful spell cast. So I'm going to get 2 up there. Then the next ones I'm going to get is I get 1 for every white enemy slain. I was able to slay 2 enemies last turn, so I get 2 more. So we're at 4, and that's at 3. We're winning so far. Time to continue the bandit slaughter. That's my plan here. I'm going to use our rogue first again. Our rogue is going to use his, was it stock skill? I think it is. No, he's got stealth. Here we go. We're going to use our stealth skill here. It says characters may ignore an enemy's melee range once per combat turn. This skill can't be used by large characters or while wearing heavy armor. So I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 behind this one, ignoring his melee area, and I'm going to attack him again in the back. And we're doing opposed rolls, and we both have a 3 to this. I got a 7, and he got a 4. So he failed, I win. That's fantastic. Now I did get a 6, which is a critical, which means I am able to do 1 extra die of damage. So instead of doing only 2, I get to do 3. And I get to lower their defense or armor because I'm attacking from the back. And I would have gotten +1 from the attack because I attacked from the back as well. There's lots of pluses there. And all 3 of these are going to do damage to the shooter because the shooter only has a total of 3 armor. And -1 is 2. That character is also removed off the board. With that character being destroyed, we'll move into our paladin's turn. He's going to move 1 to right here and attack that character. Now that character doesn't get a defensive shot because I didn't move more than 3 spaces to try to get to him. I'm going to use my scimitar again because this person does not have heavy armor or a shield. Let's see how much I'm able to... Oh my gosh, guy got a double 1. That's really bad for him. Most likely that's a super bad thing for you. I don't know if it's going to do anything for him when defense comes around. I don't think he can use a shield or anything because that's such a bad roll. But that's okay. I think this guy's going to be super dead in just a second here because I get to roll a total of 4 plus 2, which is going to be this many dice. It's got a 3 defense. Let's see how this goes. Yep, I did 4 damage. That guy's really, really dead. And that is how you take quick work of a combat. Those guys are all dead. I get an extra 2 achievement points because I was able to kill 2 more characters, which is, we're doing really good. All right, let's go into our next turn. First thing we're going to do is remove this die. That is no longer active, but I'm still going to leave this out here because I did show that I have used that spell 1 time. Beginning of the turn, I am going to have my halfling move first. He's going to move 1, 2, which is now outside my zone of safety. And yes, the zone of safety now kicks back in because we are not in any type of combat anymore. We're going to check to see if there is an obstacle there. This could be interesting. Let's roll our die and see what we get. We got it rolled way off the board, but it is this symbol, so there's nothing there. So I am going to search this table. Let's check out the table and see what we've got. Our dining set here says there's a table and some chairs in the room. Characters searching them may roll a 3d6. For each result of 6, they find a pack of provisions. For each result of 5, they find a supreme beer. That sounds fantastic. I'm going to roll 3d6 and see if we find any of those things. Let's roll it up here. I found nothing. Apparently they ate all their food and we're just going to go hang out by the fire, and we jumped in and we slaughtered them. So this has been searched. You cannot search it multiple times. Once you search it, it is done. We'll use our sorceress next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's moving this way. I could search the fire up here, but I'm not going to, even though let's take a look at it so you can see exactly what would happen if we decided to. Our fireplace here says there's a fireplace in the room. Roll a d6 on a 2+. It is lit. Therefore, the section is illuminated, and whoever searches it can pick up a burning log and use the torch for the rest of the quest. As long as a character or creature is pushed into a square occupied by a lit fireplace, takes 3 fire damage, or 3 fire damage dice, and won't be able to occupy that square. That's out of control. But I'm not going over there. I don't need any torches right now. We haven't found any darkness cards, so I don't have to worry about it. Our paladin will go next. He's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, I think is his speed. He has 5 speed. 5. He's still in the zone of safety. That's as far as he can get, though. And we'll roll our next die and see what happens. We've got... Oh, I don't roll any dice. What am I doing? We're just going to move up our advancement track on the darkness player. We're now going to move into our next turn, and our rogue's going to go... He's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to right there. Do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He only has 5 speed. Yep, to right there. And he is going to check this door, or maybe I'll wait. I'm going to wait right there. I want the rest of my party to catch up. 1, 2, 3 to right here, and he's going to move 1 to right there. Our party is all set to go, busting through this door when we figure out what's there. As a free action, our sorceress on her turn is going to eat her healing herbs, so she can roll this. She gets 1 health back. 1's better than nothing. And then we discard this card. And that's not a bad one to use. I'm pretty excited about it. I don't mind using my consumables. We'll move into our turn now. Our rogue is going to check that door. Now, standing all together next to that door will really give us a jump on what's in this room. But it could be bad because if this is trapped and it attacks a certain amount of spaces, all of our guys could get hit. Let's see what we got. We got an encounter instead of an obstacle, so that is not a trapped door at all. So we're just going to open the door and see what's on the other side. Let's swing it open and roll our die. Is there an encounter in here? There is not an encounter in here. Oh my gosh, it's out of control. And that's the end of his turn. He's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4 to right there. He is now 1, 2, 3 outside of the sphere of safety. So he's going to roll his die and see if there's an obstacle. There is an obstacle. Let's take a look and see what we have found. We have found ourselves stake. It affects the square occupied by the character who triggered it. Character must pass an agility test with -2 penalty. If the roll is failed, he suffers 6 damage dice, -1 to armor, and is knocked down. If the test is passed, the trap has no effect. Oh my gosh, this is out of control. Okay, so traps are bad. I'm going to have to pay 3 to activate this trap. So we're going to go down to 23 on this little wheelie number dial here. Plus, I believe I would have gotten 1 more advancement point on the what do you call this? The darkness player. I have to try to see if I'm able to perceive this trap. I need a 9 or better on my perception to see if I see it. If I see it, I don't have to trigger this trap. And then if I want to, I could disarm the trap. If I don't perceive it, the trap goes off and it's going to be bad news. Our elf gets +1 to perception, but also gets -1 because of his chainmail. So let's roll this up and see if he gets a 9 or better. I only got a 7, so I did not perceive the trap. So the trap does go off. Let's see, am I rolling 6 dice here? I'm going to be rolling 6 damaged dice. So I don't want to roll 6 damaged dice. This is not going to be fun. Here's my 6 damage dice. Let's roll these up and see what I get. I got a lot of 4, 5s, and 6s. That's horrible. Let's see what it says here. I think it says I get -2 penalty with my agility. Well, oh, first I have to make an agility test. Oh, thank goodness. We don't have to worry about all those dice yet. I have to make an agility test first. Let's see how I do on my agility test. I got a 9. My agility test, I need a 10. I don't think, and I get +4 to the roll. So I get 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 to this roll. I think I get -1 though, so now it's down to 12 because of my chainmail. My chainmail is just killing me. I don't know if I like these guys with those big heavy armor here. So I get -1 to my movement and my agility. Oh, barf. All right. So I only got a 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 12. I got a 12. 12 and then -2 is going to be 10. So I still made the test because I need a 10 or higher. So this actually doesn't go off, which is good news. I don't have to worry about it actually doing anything to me. Now, if there was a reason I couldn't do this at all, I would be gaining back 2 points. But this trap, the whole thing did fire off and I was able to successfully avoid it. So I don't have to worry about taking any damage or giving back any points. Now, I don't get any of the points that would go towards achievements because I did not, it says for every, where is it here? 1 point for detecting or disarming a trap. I did not. I just avoided the trap. I didn't detect it and I did not disarm it. I just flat out dodged it. That was the deal. And it does show right down here what these traps would be used for. So, and it does work in an actual hallway or room. This would be on a corridor, this would be in a door, and that'd be on a chest. So this does work almost anywhere. So we're going to discard that. I was able to survive that trap by the skin of my teeth. So we're good to go. Our sorceress is next. She's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to right there. That's her speed, and that's going to be the end. We'll go and move our marker to 6. He now has 6 achievements. We only have 6, so we're pretty much tied right now. Our thief is going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to right there, and still within the 1, 2 zone of safety that I'm being provided here by this character. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to right there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to right here. And that's going to be the end of that turn. We're going to move to 7. We're going to move into our next turn, which is going to be our thief. Our thief is going to go up these stairs into the next area. So at this point, we'll move to our next turn, and I'm going to use this person. 1, 2, 3 up to here, I think, is what we're going to do. Then we're going to move, I'm going to move him right next to the door over here. Our thief is going to go, go next. 1, 2, 3, 4, I think up to there. These areas, I believe, are interchangeable, if I read the rules on that correctly. And from here, I'm going to again check to see about that door, see what we find. We have not found a trap on that door either, so I'm going to go ahead and open this door and see what's in here. This could be bad, but it could be good. Hopefully I don't roll an encounter, and if I don't roll an encounter, that means that I've gotten super lucky. Nope, there's no encounter. Oh my gosh, it's out of control. And this is a 50-50 die on there's 2 sides of everyone. There's 2 of everything on every side, so there's always an equal chance of any of those coming up. I'm going to move my sorceress next. She's going to move 1, 2 to right here, 3 to right there, and that's going to be the end of this turn. And as her action, before we go to the end of the turn, I'm going to show you another thing you can do in this game. I can search this room, which may find me some extra gold. And I could have done this in any room. You can also search bodies as well, where you're going to roll dice based on the type of enemies you encounter, where you can find more gold. And I probably should have been doing that because gold is good, and I haven't been getting enough gold from what I've been doing to I haven't really used too many consumables, so I'm not too worried about it yet. But I am going to check this room and see what's there. So I'll be rolling 2 dice, and I'll be trying to do a perception test. Now, she doesn't get anything extra to her perception. It's just a straight roll. We'll see what we get. We got an 8. So we didn't find anything. One of the things you might not want to search the room for is because you do have to roll this die, and you might find an obstacle. Again, I found no obstacles. This is amazing. And that's going to be the end of the turn. Our dark player is going to grab another point, bring it up to 8. Then we're going to move into our next turn. I'll move our rogue first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to right there. Our paladin will come in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to right here. And our sorceress is going to walk to right there. That's the end again. We'll give another point. We're at 9. And at this point, we're going to use our halfling to run up and check out this door. Now, the interesting thing is this door is auto-locked. The reason it's auto-locked is because of our scenario. So our locked door card here is going to cost 1, and it says the door of the character is trying to open is locked. It can be opened stealthily by passing a dexterity test. Choose one character, only one attempt is allowed. If the test is passed, the door will be opened. Otherwise, it can only be broken down, and its vitality is 5 with armor 5. If this card wasn't revealed while trying to open a door, keep it face up without paying its cost. It will be activated paying its cost the next time the heroes attempt to open a door. And the scenario die gives the result of this symbol right here. So this is active right now, but if it would have been drawn, some of these cards, which are pretty cool, is instead of just being tossed away, you do hold on to them at certain points. And notice it only works on a door down here. Now I need to get a dexterity check of 10. So as a free action, I am going to switch in my lockpicks. We're going to use these lockpicks as my item. I'm going to de-equip, I guess you could say, my sling and my dagger. And we're going to try to open up this door. This will give me +1 to my test, and I get +2 because of my character, so we get +3 to this roll. We need a 7 or better, and we got a 7 exactly. We got a 10, so we're able to unlock that door. And it does say on these things that if they break in case of a critical failure. So I did not fail, which is fantastic. They can only be used by people that don't have a negative to their dexterity. And our character, of course, is not. He's a rogue. He gets +1. Since we were able to disarm that trap, which I guess is the obstacle, is you could say, I believe I get 1 point. Yes, I get +1 for opening a lock. We're going to go to 7. It's time to open this door and see what is in this room. This is the boss's room. We're going to have to take on that bandit captain and see how we do. One thing I forgot to place down when we got our new area there is there are 2 chests back there. I'm just using these chests here because these are pretty cool and nicely painted. The other little tiles, I like to use the 3D objects if I can. But this is going to be the main encounter. We're going to fight the bandit captain. Let's see if we can do this, and we're going to do it in the next video. That's right. I'm going to leave you at a cliffhanger right here. We're going to move into this, try to take out the bandit captain, and go back to town and continue this great experience in Dungeon Universalis. I hope you're enjoying the playthrough. If you are, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell symbol so you know when the next part of this comes out. Also, please feel free to leave anything in the comments below. I would love to hear from everyone. Also, please feel free to join my Patreon. The link to that is also in the description of this video. You can, on my Patreon, help decide who plays in these games. Like I said, all the characters we're using were decided by my Patreon subscribers, and their names are here on the screen. Thank you so much for all of your support. It means the world to me. This game has an absolute mountain of things going for it that some of the things I haven't even touched on. You can jump pits. You can have to climb out of pits. You can do almost anything you want in this game, especially as the adventure becomes more diverse. There's even outside maps that you have to use in order to be able to continue the adventure. I love the fact that there's all these obstacles. I wish I would have rolled a little bit worse so you could see more of these, but this is only the first adventure in many that is going to be coming for my playthrough of Dungeon Universalis. There are so many things that are going on in this game that I'm sure I made a few mistakes, so please make sure to check the pinned comment. There are going to be anything that's major or that would have affected the game in some way will be put there. Otherwise, there may have been a few pluses and minuses I have missed because of how many there are going on in this game. This game has a lot of things you have to remember, but it's really cool that you don't really need to use them all. You can kind of choose what you want to in this game, which is an interesting way of being able to create a board game that can also be an experience as well. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you're excited to see what happens inside our final room and what continues for our brave adventurers, then I need you to meet me at the table.